Here are 4 quick tips that will help you make more persuasive decisions. First, learn as much as you can about your audience before you draft your message. We call this audience analysis. You're never really speaking to a general audience. So what do your specific listeners care about? What do they value and prioritize in their lives? What problems do they want to solve? Do your homework so your message speaks to their specific interests. Second, learn as much as you can about the occasion for the presentation. What's your audience expecting? Why are they there listening to you? Is this just one of 4 other presentations that they're going to be sitting through that day? Are they expecting to come away with actionable takeaways, or are they expecting simply to learn something? Third, decide what you want for your audience. People call this your ask. By the end of the presentation, how do you want your listeners to either think differently or behave differently? Usually, at the end of a persuasive message, there's some kind of call to action that your message is building toward. So if you figure out what this call to action is before you draft your message, everything else in your message can build persuasive momentum toward that moment. Your call to action should be a natural extension of your message. It should be the next logical step. Fourth, here's a supersized tip. Once you have good answers to the first 3 tips here, then you have to make those decisions that we've been talking about in terms of the available means of persuasion. Again, this is just a starting place, but you have to make choices about how to appeal to your listeners' rational side. In the business, we call this logos. People need to be convinced up here in their brains. So what type of data, facts, statistics, and other research-driven support can you include in your message to help change listeners' minds or behaviors? What information can you include that will speak to their priorities, interests, problems that we mentioned earlier? B, how can you best appeal to listeners' emotional side? We call this pathos. How can you bring your message to life in a way that reaches their hearts? What stories can you tell? What type of before and after transformations can you share with them? And don't just tell your favorite stories. Tell stories and share examples that speak to your listeners' lives, stories that will resonate with them and where they want to be. C, how can you best establish your credibility? We call this ethos. That's about your believability as a speaker. What can you tell them about yourself that establishes that you're the right person to listen to? What real-world experiences do you have? What common ground do you share with your listeners? And how can you show that you care about your listeners and have goodwill toward them? These 3 elements, ethos, pathos, and logos, are the typical starting place where we talk about that phrase, the available means of persuasion. You look at all that audience analysis information we talked about in the first 3 tips, and if you have any hope of being persuasive, you have to use what you know about your audience to max out the way you appeal to people's minds, hearts, and demonstrate your own credibility as a person worth listening to.